We're live. Let me hop on here.
What I love is while he's doing that, Von Miller's hurt.
Oh, Nick Bosa's hurt for Ray.
I like him both
I may not have been able to beat him. Joey Bosa, yeah. I may not have been able to beat him, but I knocked out Bosa, so. Ha.
If Ray does make the playoffs, we might not. Especially after he released his mixtape. He's definitely not looking down. That motherfucker. That's an ugly dude. Cool guy, but that motherfucker's ugly.
Nice player.
Motherfuckers.
Alright, guys, we are live. I'm gonna grab a drink real quick and we'll get started.
I think if we're not making money, it's okay.
Like I was saying before, screw Ray. He's my child. I like it.
What a coach. It's so satisfying for a coach player.
Alright, so we are live. We are live with the 6th episode of MaddenCast. Our quality tonight probably isn't up to par with what we're used to with Kane, which he should be back, I believe, next week. And next Sunday, our MaddenCast will be all Kane-ified with his OBS and all of that. Hopefully he has enjoyed his honeymoon. I'm Cincy, and I am here tonight with OMG and Man of Wood. Glad to have you guys in with us. Man of Wood, you were the first to respond to OMG's Sim Cheese discussion challenge, and we've had a few videos turned in on that. Our most recent one was done by Ray. Tomorrow we got one lined up for Hotep, and then Tuesday I believe is going to be Mex Pride. Ray's was off the chain though. I think Ray may take the cake and have like the best video out of all of them. I believe you guys were saying it was his mixtape.
Yeah. He didn't want to show his face. I was a little disappointed, but it's alright. He had to stay hidden from the cops, I guess.
Yeah, shady stuff going on.
Out there like that.
I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I haven't really sat through his entire video, but I don't recall his video sticking out to me that much. I don't know. I thought yours was pretty good.
Appreciate that. I think, I don't know, I don't know, it might be a little, I don't know how to say it, but it's like, I think a lot of the focus was just more on, word cheese, and not actually, like, defining it.
Yeah. I think it's a hard thing to define. Like, I think different people view it as different things. Like, I've done a lot of, I guess, scouting on different leagues to see how different leagues do different things. And, like, I ran across one league. They, like, prided themselves so strongly on being a sim league, and they actually referred to their rules as the Sim Bible. And it was seriously like a novel of rules.
That sounds cool. Like if you have to define it, I get not wanting to do it kind of thing, but I just feel like I can't say it.
I don't want to say too much because this is kind of the tracks that I will be taking with my video. But my mentality is, if we are sim, we don't need rules to be sim. I mean, we just are. And like, for example, if you look back on Fat Pat, like, he gets a lot of hate, but like, we have our sim rules in place, but in actuality, he didn't break any of our rules. Like, when I was trying to work with him and get him on the straight and narrow, I guess you would say, like, his big thing was like, what rule am I breaking? Show me what rule I am breaking. I don't know. Like, I think you either are or you're not.
I think at the end of the day, a big part of it comes down to using AI. There's just something that you can overnight against the rules, like everyone knows.
Yeah. But we got quite a few different topics lined up for tonight. The first topic we got that we're really going to be looking at are teams who have choked in the second half of this season, and really just in this season in general. When you guys look at all of the teams, is there any team in particular that jumps out to you that you expected more out of and maybe had an opportunity to do some things but just dropped the ball?
For me, I would definitely have to say Texans. Texans got their last three, I think. They won the preseason tournament. They were rolling for a while, but they had a couple of injuries, but they're still in the hunt for playoffs, so they haven't completely blown it. But they could have had a pretty solid lead. So they've lost a few games that kind of hurts.
Yeah.
Kind of let those other teams get back into the division.
Does he have? Do you know if he has any how many sims he has?
I was told in the chat that I'm pretty low. Is this better? You can hear me. Is this better?
3, 4, 5 sims, and wow, 5 sims. Only one of them was a sim loss.
That's rough. So the other 4 are sim wins?
Yep.
Wow.
All of his losses. He has 3 losses in a row that he played, and then another loss after that. This past week. I don't know what's going on with him. Life happens in here.
Yeah. For me, a team who has choked, I would say terrorizing his Jets. I mean, he's the last guy to win the bowl, and I mean, he's not out of it. I believe he's still competing, and he might be the top seed in his division. Let me go into franchise.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. Hold on, I gotta, because I had some stuff I wanted to talk about.
He made the playoffs. He's 9-5-1. He clinched the playoffs.
Oh, I got some upgrades. Nice.
I'm afraid to put this thing up too high. Alright. Thing's all the way up now. Hotep, how does this sound? Does it sound better? Or does it sound no different? You gotta let me know. I sound louder. Or is it too loud, or is it like, is it tolerable? Okay.
I'm also going to have to say 40 minutes on the coach. They've also dropped 3 in a row. Don't expect it to come from them some losses, but they're 7-3. Those 2 losses would put them 5. Definitely no division with the wins. They're one of the best teams in the league.
Yeah. It's hot. Hot starts.
I gotta say, your Rams were a big surprise for me. Like, I knew you were good, but like you ran away with it this year, man.
Appreciate that. That's it's looking back at Brad. So I'm in like another league, so I take a lot of the things that I do in this league and try to do it there to practice it and see like how things work and stuff. But it's not like my division is bad. They're not Brett and Ray, but they're definitely not bad players. So they keep me honest.
Yeah.
But the yeah, I'd probably say mine would probably be the Falcons. Just because he got pretty far in the tournament, didn't he?
I believe he did. I remember him doing well. I don't think he made the finals. Actually, I know he didn't make the finals, but
I was just looking at like that roster with that offense. You know, I really don't think offensively you have to. you gotta do too much when you got Julio and you've got like the other guys and stuff. So
yeah.
Got Deion Jones. Yeah, they got nothing but smoke, man. So
I think he's someone else that has taken some sims as well.
Yeah, because he's gotten a couple. Because I was looking at his thing earlier. He had a couple big wins over a couple people. I remember seeing that, like just out of nowhere. He was just like looked like he was gonna lose, but then they just got him. Yeah, so he beats. Oh, that was sim. Never mind. Sorry, I was looking at it backwards. So I was looking at him playing the Saints. He beat the Saints 23-10. I think Wells is a pretty good player. The first time they played, he beat him 24-10, 24-20, but that was a sim. And then they played again in week 12, and he beats him 23-10. You know, and then Lone beats the Eagles, pretty sure, right, if I remember correctly, he smokes the Eagles, and yeah, 34-0. And I think the Eagles is a good player too. That again, that roster is retarded, but yeah. So that division is also really tough too because the Panthers have Shaq Thompson. So, and I say Shaq Thompson and not the rest of the Panthers, you know, roster.
It looks like Falcons actually swept Lone. He beat him in week 12 and in week 3.
So you take a couple of those sims away. I don't think that he. I think that division gets a little bit more competitive. Some of his sims where he's got simmed against the Bucks, and then the Redskins, the Browns, and then he got a sim loss to the Cardinals, which doesn't make any sense to me. So like, yeah, it's a little funky. So I feel like if you played some of these games and you know whether you lost competitively or you know won these games, I think that's a different looking division, and then you can then argue they're the toughest out there. But I'm gonna vote and say Falcons would be my team.
That's kind of like you say that Falcons is a team who choke. I feel like Falcons is someone who's like massively flown under the radar, and a lot of people aren't talking about him. So for you to say you believe he is choked, like I think that's a statement towards him. Picking up steam, earning respect.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know because I remember you might have brought him up earlier in the season, with you know flying under the radar and being a good player and stuff. So
yeah.
You know, started looking into him and stuff, and NFC's got to look out. So, but I don't know. Maybe next season he'll be able to clean up some of those sims and get some more dubs. Give Lone and Prevail a little run for their money. But
so the second topic we have. Yeah, the second topic we've got for tonight, the best of the worst. I believe this is a topic that OMG specifically requested.
This is my favorite topic.
So,
I mean, I guess I'll start it off. And the reason why this is my favorite topic is because there's three divisions in particular that I want to point out that makes me really like this topic. That's the NFC North, the AFC South, and the NFC South. So the NFC South and the AFC South are almost the same. Obviously, were they in any other division, would probably be in the playoffs, but it's just ridiculous. The AFC South. AFC South, there's 3 teams with 8 wins, and the Jaguars with 11. So I think that's ridiculous.
and a note on that, a note on the AFC South. Frank has taken a plethora of sim losses. I believe he has only actually lost 2 games. His other 5 losses have been sims. And it's because of his work schedule. He had a stretch when he was working overtime early in the season. And here in the end of the season, as playoffs are approaching and he's fighting for a spot, he ends up having to work more overtime. And then Titans has been gone for like how many weeks now in game? Like 4? Because of his honeymoon.
Yeah.
So that's like 4 sim losses there.
So I don't know if I had to pick the best of the worst. I mean, you could basically, it's a crapshoot when it comes down to the AFC South. Any one of those 8-win teams, the Colts, the Texans, the Titans, whoever doesn't make the playoffs is my pick for best of the worst. I don't know, after that, there's a bunch of other teams I expect to do a lot better. My best of the worst goes to AFC South, clearly, and the NFC.
What's your take on best of the worst, Wood?
Best of the worst. Sorry, I was reading the chat. They say that they can't. They said they can't hear us. They can only hear. I think they can only hear Cincy. Yeah. Raiders. They can only hear Cincy. I probably. Oh. It's hard because it would probably either be the NFC South or the AFC South for me. But at the same time, when I see best of the worst, the AFC North reminds me of that because I look at the Browns and they have 9 wins, and then it goes Ravens with 4, Steelers with 3, and then the Bengals with 2, and that's like, I'm curious to see how the Browns do in the playoffs. Whoever they have to play, I'm curious to see how they do against them. To see if the AFC North is really just, no offense to Cincy, if it really is just like a garbage dump of the league, not garbage dump, as you guys being people, but those wins are a little suspicious, because if you take the Browns out, so if I look at the Browns, they got 9 wins. Oh man, if I'm looking at their schedule. Yeah, he got 1 sim loss against the Bucks, and then he got a sim win against the Chiefs, which I'm gonna take Toast over a lot of people in the league. I don't think that he would have won that one against Toast. He got a sim win against the Falcons. That could have been a toss-up, and then he got a sim win against the Bengals. So if you replace all those losses, what was that, 3? Then you're looking at, 6 wins for a playoff team in that division? I don't know. That's just a little, in my opinion, the AFC North is probably the best of the worst, considering that their division looks weak. But, it's just my opinion.
I've been critical of Taken. It was frustrating early in the season. The whole division was close, and then he kind of ran away with it with a couple sim wins, like back to back, pretty much. But what week was it? The week 15 game against the Broncos, that he earned my respect there. Like, that wasn't an easy win. And
Yeah.
also, Ray will deny this and he'll probably be frustrated with me even bringing this up, but where was his game at? He played, let's see, week 6. If you go watch the stream, the replay of Taken and Ray from week 6, the game is like an hour and a half long. The stream, no, I think it was like an hour and 45 minutes. It went through like middle of the third. Browns was running away with the game. He had all of the momentum in the game, and then they DC'd. And they completely just restarted fresh.
Jeez. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, Browns have won 7 of their last 8, and granted, 3 of those wins were sim wins, but still, that's really helped out a lot. They started off the season pretty bad.
Yeah. The Frank said that since he has to enable the voice sharing in the chat because they can't hear us. Said they can hear Cincy, but they can't hear me and OMG.
All right, I'm pulling
Sounds
it
like
up.
we're whispering.
Oh, if you guys are whispering, then you guys are good. If they can hear you at all, then it's enabled, and yeah, it's enabled. Maybe turn your guys' volume up.
Right. That's what you gotta do. So OMG, you gotta go to party settings. I was just playing around, and Hotep said he can hear me now. You gotta go to allow your voice to be shared, and then you go to allow for the current party.
So they couldn't hear anything prior to this?
Yeah. I think literally everything we were saying before they really couldn't hear.
Okay, so let's back this up.
Get a little recap.
The first topic we discussed, teams who choked. Who was your guys' picks for teams who have choked?
Falcons.
I said
Falcons.
Texans, and there was one more team. I forget.
I know Texans was discussed and Falcons was discussed pretty heavily. And then we went into best of the worst. And I believe, OMG, you said, was it the entire AFC South?
Yeah, whoever doesn't make the playoffs from the AFC South is definitely my best of the worst.
And then Wood brought up Taken from the AFC North as the best of the worst. And going forward, teams to look out for in season 2. I'm gonna tie this topic right into our last, the best of the worst and teams to look out for in season 2. You guys might think I'm crazy, but I'm telling you, the Ravens. Like,
interesting.
He may have 4 wins right now, but his user skill, it is on point. And he's a lot better than 4 wins.
Okay.
I agree with that. I played him last week, and just looking at the bottom 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, bottom 7 teams, all of them have allowed over 300 points except for Ravens. So it looks like Ravens is just, their defense has been pretty solid, but they're just losing close games.
Yeah.
291 points against, 210 points for. So you figure out some of that offensive issues, and that AFC North is looking completely different. So I agree with that.
Here's an interesting thing I'm looking at Ravens' schedule right now. He has 0 sims on the season.
Oh, there we go.
And I know he's also in multiple leagues as well. And additionally, like, I'm not making any excuses for the AFC North, but look at the teams we've played. The Broncos, Titans, Saints, Panthers, Falcons, Chiefs, Bucks, Chargers,
Yeah, that's a really rough schedule.
Like, there's no way our schedule is going to be worse season 2 than it was this year.
Yeah.
And let's see. Aside from a 0-34 loss against the Titans in Week 6, like he didn't really get blowed out in any of his games. Maybe the Broncos game in Week 3 you count as a blowout, 7-23. And then, let's see. Yeah. Who are you guys looking out for season 2?
I would probably say a healthy Giants team. I think, because I know that Saquon and Odell were hurt early in the season, and that's where a couple of the Giants' losses came from. I didn't watch those losses or those games and stuff, but for him to stay competitive in the Week 5 matchup against the Panthers and only lose by 4 points with neither of those guys, I think that's pretty big. Because I feel like if he had both of those guys, I think that game might have been a little bit different.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I also think that him playing the Saints and losing 7-27, I think that game will be a little bit different as well with both of those players. So I feel like a healthy Giants team is going to be dangerous because he swept the Eagles this season. First week he beat them 21-16, and then the second game he beat them 30-24. So he got his number this year, and unless the Eagles are going to come back with something new, I don't see why the Giants would be able to do that again. So I feel like as long as he can stay healthy with those two players, I feel like he'll be another heavy playoff contention team. And I look for him to make a bigger statement and potentially stay in the top 5 power rankings, since those are, the most important thing in the world. I feel like
Looking at,
I feel like he'll break out.
looking at his schedule right now and the losses he's taken, he only has one loss that would be against someone that wouldn't be considered the elite of the league, which was the Redskins. He lost the Redskins Week 8, 0-7, and then look at his other losses: Saints, Panthers.
Yeah, he lost to OMG.
Bucks.
Yeah.
Though there is maybe a taint in the mix of all of this. His Week 14 game against the Redskins, Week 15 game against the Titans, and Week 16 game against the Colts were all win via sim.
Yeah.
Though,
I was looking at that too. I was about to say that. Yeah.
What are we supposed to do in the situation? Like Week 14, the Redskins was a no-show. Week 15, Titans is on his honeymoon. Week 16, Frank gets called into work. Like, hands are kind of tied in the situation.
Mm-hmm. So are you saying it's a fluke, and he might have potentially lost 2 out of the 3 of those games?
I mean, it's definitely a possibility.
Yeah.
And like it sucks for the guys who are competing for that wild card spot, because I mean there would be like a plethora of different teams vying for 2 wild card spots. Those 3 sim wins in a row narrows it down to all the other teams competing, just fighting for 1 wild card spot.
Yeah. I hear that. I feel like it would have made it a little bit more interesting if those weren't, sim wins.
Yeah.
But like OMG said earlier, like, it's life. It should be like that sometimes. So, what was I gonna say? But I don't know. I want to give him a little bit more credit just because of who he's beat.
Yeah.
So.
And something of note in the mix of all this, those 3 sim wins, it looks like are his only sims through the season. So it's not like he's going bum mode and just not playing.
I agree with that.
So the next 2 topics, let's tie them in together. Your biggest surprise and your biggest disappointment. My biggest surprise would probably be Sundance. Like, I didn't, like, came out of nowheres, hopped in the league, and then bam, he's like, hey, this is mine, boys. And then my biggest disappointment would probably be Taken in his Browns. Like, he joins and everybody's like, oh, Cincy, you're doomed, this guy's amazing, and like he's talking smack like bread stinks and is nobody, and then goes bum mode on us.
Yeah.
He's always hyping up the Browns. It never fails. And unfortunately, he can't back up what he likes to speak. So.
Oh man. My like to say, I don't know. The biggest surprise. I don't know. It's a little difficult. Surprise is kind of like positive, negative, I guess. I'd probably say biggest surprise would be the Broncos for me. Looking at, besides for his sim wins against the Chiefs, looking past that, looking at some of the guys that he's beat, and then also just the success that he had just coming in early in the league with, in my opinion, that the Broncos are a very interesting team offensively. So for him to come in and have some success with that team and have the record that he has, I thought that was a pretty big surprise, at least to me. And then my biggest disappointment would probably, it's like a twofer. So Hotep is my biggest disappointment, number 1, and then Ray is my biggest disappointment, number 2. So Hotep is a big disappointment for me, only because last Madden, at least from my memory, he was making the playoffs pretty consistently, and then he also beat me week 14 and pretty much like shut me completely down, which wasn't very easy for really anybody else in the league to do besides for Brett, in my opinion. So for him to be out of the playoffs and only have, hold on, I'm trying to click as fast as I can. For him to, come on, only have about, for him only to go 6-9 as of right now, before this last game, for him to have 6 wins was a disappointment to me, because in my opinion, I think he's a pretty good player. So for him to struggle that much this Madden was pretty surprising. And then moving to Ray, I expected Ray to challenge Brad for the AFC West with me leaving. I expected a little bit more of a battle, and I didn't. I'm not going to say I had higher hopes for Ray, but I expected more out of him to not let the Broncos come and challenge that division like he did. If I were to give you like a preseason look at it, I would have expected Brett to take it, but Ray to be a real strong like 11-12 win team right behind Brett, like securing a spot with no issues and not having to worry about the last couple weeks and praying to the Madden gods that some people lost and some people won. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So those are my 2 disappointments, and then my big surprise. So
for me, my biggest surprise is going to be all the ties we had this season. So looking at it right now,
I kind of agree with that too.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 teams with a tie, so that means 4 games ended in a tie this season.
That's nuts.
I don't know, the standings look really weird with so many ties. And all these ties are to teams that, I mean, the Bills have 2 ties. I don't know how the fuck that happens, but I mean, these are all teams who arguably could be in the playoffs. So that's my surprise.
You know, on the
Yeah.
topic of ties, let me ask you guys this. It's something I've kind of thought about. I haven't really said anything about it. What would you guys think about going forward? Because with the whole sim thing, when guys have like a fair sim, instead of fair simming it, force a tie.
I like that. I brought it up the other day in chat, just goofing around, but thinking about it, I think it's the fairest. Like, if it's a fair schedule conflict, I don't think either team should get the loss. I think it's weird in terms of like sim records, but aside from that, I don't think it really skews anything. I think it's the fairest thing for both teams.
I mean, I don't know exactly how, you know, the records and stuff will be affected. I can't like predict that and stuff, but I don't see a issue with that, because then that way at least the team who necessarily has like a lower rating than another team doesn't automatically get the loss. Like if you look at like, if you had like the Eagles simming against like the Jets or somebody with like a weaker roster, you could almost automatically always guess that you're going to get the win in that case. But if you tie them,
Right.
you know,
Even if your
I could see
skill
that
level
being.
is on par with the opponent.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to that. You know, if that was something that was talked about or implemented and stuff. So, I'd vote for that.
Same.
I think other people would vote for that too, just because, you know, I'm sure some people got knocked out of certain things. So like if you would have gave, well, I mean, you know, you look at like the Giants roster, if you would have gave him like a tie or two, that playoff picture might look a little different.
Yep.
So looking at him, like with the Giants, like would his like be games that you would force a tie or force a win, because those situations are completely out of his control. I think that would be going down a path that would be very difficult in the long run to, I don't know what the word is I'm looking forward, to do fairly. Because I could already imagine now guys raging because they feel like they should get the win, and the other guy's like, no, tie it.
Well, I feel like if it's gonna be a fair sim, then it could, you know, potentially be a tie. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That we could potentially give them a tie. But if it's like if I'm ready to play, but OMG's been ducking, or if, you know, his schedule, he got called into work like Frank did or something, then I think in that case, the person who's ready and can play should get the W in that sense.
Yeah.
You know?
Right, exactly. I feel like sim ties would only come in a case where it's like a fair schedule conflict.
Or maybe the case is, like, I think there were 2 games that went unscheduled in week 16, and to my knowledge, no one from either of the 2 games reached out to us to say, hey, this is what's up. In those cases, tie it.
Yeah.
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 Or sim
I agree with
loss
that.
to both teams. I wish that was possible. If that's what you get.
You're gonna take this L. Hold this. Yeah, that'd be funny. What was I gonna say? But yeah, no, I think the tie would be a good way to, you know, switch it up a little bit.
Yeah. I'll have to see what Hotep thinks. He's the real boss around here. Let's see. So, our next topic, League Awards. Is it under news?
I feel like most of the awards are pretty set in stone unless anyone has a crazy breakout game week 17.
Yeah, I'm pretty cool with that. I need Todd Gurley to come hang out with that MVP trophy. Unless things
I
have
hate
changed.
Todd Gurley with a passion. I'm so mad. Ronald Jones was so close. I tried so hard to match his 300 yards, and legit, my last 5 games, I don't think I've ran for over more than 50 yards. And I'm grateful he's still #1 in the offensive rookie of the year award
Yeah.
for the NFC.
On the MVP award, I feel like Prevail got a little sour early on when we posed the question, can Shaq Thompson hang? Looks like he's dropped down to number 4.
I guess that answers that right there.
I think if Panthers have a better record, Shaq Thompson's probably high on the MVP list.
Yeah, that's true.
I could see that too. Yeah. But you could also make the case that maybe record doesn't always mean that, if that makes sense. Maybe in the MVP standing it might, but if you look at the running backs, David Johnson is number 3, and the Cardinals are 1-14. But he's been like top 5 for the best running back like all year. So,
Oh yeah.
you know, and then he's for the offensive rookie of the year, Christian Kirk, who's also on the Cardinals for 1-14, is up for offensive rookie of the year. He's not going to win it, obviously, but you know, to even be considered in there, you know, might be a little bit. We might be looking at something a little funky, but
You know, is Shaq Thompson all that impressive? Ryan Shazier is right behind him with 17 interceptions.
Shazier came out of nowhere, first of all. I don't know. Looking at, the user skills is a big part of it. I'm going to say something right now, though, just because I have to. A little shameless plug, and I'm a little salty as well. But Shaq Thompson on his own has what? How many receptions does he have now?
19.
19. So he has 19. All I have to say is that the Buccaneers safeties have 12 and 13 combining for 25. So technically, the MVP should be split between my safety percent.
Here's an interesting fact comparing Shaq Thompson to Ryan Shazier. A big edge that Shaq Thompson would have on Shazier is sacks. Shazier, I believe, has 0 sacks. Shaq Thompson, I think it was like 5. But looking at downs played, Shaq Thompson has played 620 downs. Ryan Shazier has played 568 downs.
Was he hurt a game?
no. I just think that's a lack of me being on defense, to be honest with you.
Exactly. That's unfortunate.
So,
So
yeah.
Shaq Thompson was a result of Panthers' offense just being bad.
If we look at it that way, then yeah, I think you can also look at it because they've both played 15 games, and if we were to go by downs, then Deion Jones would smoke everybody because he's played 844 downs of football with no injuries, which is nuts because he has a whole other game, which he's at least probably going to get another 50 snaps. So that's nuts to think about. So it's like, I don't know if Prevail did all of that, all those interceptions and sacks and stuff, user, like shit, more power to him. I think in terms of like what Shaq is, I think Luke Kuechly is more important than Shaq Thompson is, but that's really anything. But I think at the same time, I'm not taking anything away from 19 interceptions and 5 sacks, especially because he took 2 of them back for a touchdown when Shazier has no touchdowns.
I have to say something. I'm looking at the awards right now, and never mind. No, I was gonna say, for some reason I thought the Broncos were in the NFC, and I was looking at the NFC rankings. I was like, how is Bradley Chubb not up there? But he's still in the NFC, so never mind. That was a brain fart. But
So, looking at Offensive Player of the Year, for the AFC, Patrick Mahomes and Tyreek Hill, 1 and 2.
that's insane. That's ridiculous.
I
Makes sense,
believe Brett has used his stat points. From what I hear through the rumor mill, Brett has used his player upgrade rewards to get Patrick Mahomes' throw power and Tyreek Hill's speed both to 99.
What?
I haven't looked, but that's what I heard.
It's just been verified. Tyreek Hill has 99 speed and 98 acceleration. It's also been verified that that Patrick Mahomes does have 99 throw power. So
How? What? He's on steroids.
What is Patrick Mahomes' base throw power?
base I think was like a 97 maybe.
Yeah.
96 at the lowest. The dude's got a fucking arm. Like that thing is nuts. Real life Patrick Mahomes is stupid.
Man,
But
Chiefs are getting lucky with them upgrades. I wish I could air the ball out like he does.
What makes me bitter is Hotep don't let me get no upgrades. I'm all like, boy,
perks
give
would
me
be an
some.
ad.
He's like, nah, you ain't getting none.
Oh,
Looks like
those upgrades.
98
I thought
throw
you were
power.
talking about like XP upgrades.
You
Yeah,
said his
no,
base was 98.
Yeah, I just pulled it up though. I don't. He may have got like a an upgrade from like the Madden roster updates.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then for the NFC offensive player of the year, Gurley and Jones. I don't know why Jones is even number 2. I don't even think I have a chance anymore.
How many? Well, let's see. How many yards you got? Big bang table.
Jones is 4th in rushing, and there's quite a few running backs with more touchdowns.
I don't know. I wonder how they rate it. Like how they get, how they get these levels of like who's the best, like who's the second. Because if it was going by rushing yards, then Jones should be 4th and Fournette should be 2nd. David Johnson is where he is, but
Well, Fournette would also be AFC. You pulled the move.
Is David Johnson being this high in these rankings as I signed to you guys that the Cardinals was indeed tanking? Because if he's losing all of his games, that means he's most likely going to be in a pass-first approach. But for David Johnson to be up here this high, that tells you that he's maintained a run-first approach.
How many sims though is what I want to know.
Do what? How many sims?
How many sims for the cards, yeah.
I don't know. I think there's quite a few.
I'm about to check.
Because the
Cardinals.
Cardinals also have, Rosen has 366 attempts, so it's not like he's not passing the ball.
One, two, three.
Oh my gosh. 1, 2,
So he had
3,
9. He had
4,
9
5,
sims.
6, 7.
If I counted
8,
that right, it's a lot of fucking zeros. It's a lot.
I'm counting 10. Wait a minute. Yeah. 1, 2, 3.
Oh, if you
4,
count the bye
5,
week,
6.
then yeah. But if
Oh
you don't
yeah,
count the
that's
bye
right.
week, it's
That's
9,
what was throwing me for a loop. 9.
yeah.
That's
The,
more than half his games.
Yeah. But I don't know when he got in the league. Dude, does anybody remember when exactly he got in the league?
I don't remember.
I would
though.
probably say
Because
week 6, because it was the first game
Okay.
played after a while. So
Okay.
week 2 through 5 were probably Fat Pat Sims, and then week 6 is probably when he took over. So he would have 1, 2, 3. Wait, no, 2 because that's 5. 2, 3, 4, 5 Sims.
Okay. Well, I don't know. I mean, David Johnson is a beast. So if there was really anything that that the Cardinals were trying to do, he could be tanking. I'm not gonna lie. When I was playing him, I had the thought in my head, but I never want to really accuse somebody of purposely tanking on purpose. I don't
I'm
see
gonna be honest.
any reason in doing that. It's not fun.
I
Just
have
on
not
purpose isn't
all
fun.
of my games I have lost and tried in every single one. I don't know if I can try it week 17 versus Steelers, guys. Like, if I win, he is going to have a better draft pick than me, and he's already said he's going to take the guy I want.
Oh shit. That's
So, like,
crazy.
I'm in a situation
what are
I
you
don't know
gonna-
what to do. I don't know.
What are you gonna do
I mean,
here? Are you
everybody
gonna
says
take
they
the
don't
tie?
like taking, but I mean, nobody likes tanking, but they like that first top 5 pick.
This is true.
I've done it. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I've tanked before. But I don't know. The way I do it is like I try at the beginning of the season, and once I get like 1-5 or 1-6, like once I know my chances of winning the division are slim, then maybe, I mean, I'm still gonna get my games in, but am I gonna try as hard to win the game? No, because it's not in the best interest of my franchise. And I know it's kind of a little BS because realistically, players wouldn't take games off, but this is a game. It's not against the rules, so. I mean, if he is tanking, I wouldn't really blame him. There's no point of winning games. That's why, oh my god, that's why I wish coach firing was on. I think it would make the league much more interesting. It would force you to win games. But at the same time, I get it, because then guys would be upset because they lose their favorite team. And it doesn't reward dedicated players who aren't necessarily better than most.
So when you guys look over all of the different rewards to kind of speed it up, because we could probably spend forever breaking down all these awards. Is there any particular award that really jumps out to you?
I think Chubb should be Defensive Rookie of the Year over Leonard. Leonard has like 11 interceptions and 80-something tackles, so he's not having a bad year at all. But I don't know if he can really beat 20-plus sacks.
Yeah, 20 plus sacks is that's nuts, man.
From anybody, really.
That's crazy.
Looking at the NFC side of things, two things jump out to me. Looking at best DB, OMG, you pointed out your safeties. They're 1 and 2.
Yeah, I mean they're barking in the locker room. They're fighting each other, trying to see who's gonna run away with it. So they're pushing each other.
And then look at the NFC offensive line awards.
Fucking Eagles.
The Eagles, they've got 4 guys on there.
Fuck, wow.
Where's their 5th one at? Let's see if he made the list. No, he's got 4 guys on the list.
Yeah,
Was he missing another guard?
Line should be up there.
Sheesh. That's crazy. That's
about it. Really, nothing else really sticks out.
nuts.
You guys want to talk about best kicker?
Matt Prater. Oh boy. Man's been in the league forever.
So, and I believe we have 2 topics left to discuss. The first topic left to discuss is the playoffs and the teams who have clinched. Looks like Chiefs, Rams, Bucks, Eagles, Giants, Jags, Broncos, Chargers, Jets, and Browns have all clinched. What spots do we have not clinched? Let's see.
Wow. What? I did not realize. Jesus, where have I been? The AFC West is insane.
Yeah.
3 teams
Oh,
in
yeah.
The AFC West are
3 teams all took it, yeah.
so tears for the rest of the AFC South if you're not the Jaguars. That is terrible. Wow.
It looks like in the NFC North is not clinched, and we still have 1 NFC wild card to be decided.
Really?
What's the... Do we know the implications?
It looks
Like,
like
who has
the
the chance?
NFC North is between Bears and Lions.
Yeah. Lions have to win.
It's looking like probably either Panthers or Falcons. Or Saints or Panthers. Saints or Panthers. And if I remember right, I think they may actually play this week.
They play each other. Buccaneers will probably be benching their starters.
Who's going to be benching their starters?
Buccaneers. I'm not trying to get anything.
All.
Let's see, East, so then North. Yeah, so that last one, I'm going to have to say Saints. Unless, I don't know, what happens if they tie and Falcons win? No, it doesn't matter if the Saints should have 10 wins. Honestly, it would be interesting to see Saints win and it throw the tiebreaker between Saints and Packers.
Who does your dad have this with? Oh, he's got Hotep.
Yeah, he beat him early in the season, so that should be an interesting game.
And then it looks like Lions has the Packers.
Ooh.
I don't want to say that would be an easy win, but Packers has had a rough last half of the season.
Right.
Like early on, like he was hanging in there, and like he's just dropped off. Like he's dropped off to the point I wonder if he's tanking.
Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised.
We say the word tanking a lot.
Yeah.
Well,
Do we take losses as tanking, or how do we qualify tanking?
Excessive losses. Like if
Excessive losses as in like you are not good, or as in if we watch the game we can see an easy read over the middle but the guy's throwing an interception on purpose.
Like,
You know what I'm saying?
if you're getting, I don't know, it's really hard to judge because you could say if the score is close, then you're just trying to keep it close to make it look like you're trying.
I think you could
say that you're not really that good.
I think you could tank without like making it obvious that you're tanking. Like some of my losses when I've been absolutely blown away, like there comes a point when you're losing that like if you keep going after it, like at least in my shoes, all I'm going to do is just give the guy a chance to run up the score on me. So instead of going to my plays to keep the drive alive, I'm just running the ball to kill the clock.
Yeah. So then does that then qualify you as giving up to then qualify you to then tanking?
I guess.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Is that like, I don't know, because I feel like if you legitimately do try and you're just not good at the game, like there's just some things that we're just not good at, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
And it's like if Madden's one of those, I feel like being called like a tanker is like, it takes like a negative connotation, so it's not a good thing, if that makes sense, to be called like a tanker. So it's like, if you look at your schedule and you're like, well, you got all these losses. Like if I was on the outside looking in at like Cincy's schedule, right? I would either say one of two things, like I'd be like, well, he's not good, or he just wanted a better pick, so he was just like, screw it after certain points. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, I don't know, like I feel like calling Cincy a tanker would be like saying that. You know what I'm saying? Like, why do you even play her? Or that's like a negative thing to say about somebody. That's all. You know?
Well, I don't know.
I don't want to stamp on anybody that they're a tanker.
Right.
I'm not trying to have a rally for people's feelings, but it's
Because
just
here's my mentality of it is regardless, even if you're trying to win and you're not, like you said, like you're just not good at certain things, like you having a terrible season, it sucks. But at the end of the day, when draft time comes around, you're going to have a top 5 pick, and nobody can tell me that is not exciting. That's not something.
Oh, that's very. Shit, that's awesome.
You know, so, if you know your team is in rebuild mode, if you know you're in a tough division, and if you know that you're missing a couple key pieces, like you know, you're having a rough season, I don't think there's any shame in tanking. I know, like you said, like it can sound like a negative connotation, but. I don't know, sometimes it's the best thing to do. Sometimes it's like in a game, you can translate the same mentality from a game to the season. You know, if you know you're getting blown out and you don't want to risk getting anyone hurt or running up the score or whatever, you know, you just pack your shit up and, you know, call it a day.
Yeah, I hear that. Yeah. So we were talking about the playoff teams, right?
Yeah.
What about the playoff teams are we talking about? We're talking about who we think
We
Or
were
we just talking
we were
about
just
that?
talking about the ones who made it, and which leads us into the final topic. What are your guys' predictions for the playoffs?
I'm gonna predict. I don't know how the playoffs are gonna work exactly in terms of like matchups. But if I had to pick two to make it to the championship game or the Super Bowl from the AFC, I would say Chiefs and Jets. And then from the NFC, I'm gonna have to say Rams and Eagles.
Yeah. I would probably have to say, I think Chiefs is gonna make it all the way to the Super Bowl. I don't see anybody beating the Chiefs in the AFC. Between the between the Browns, the Jets. If Ray sees him again, I don't think the Jaguars will beat the Chiefs. I don't think there's anybody in the league who can keep up with Tyreek Hill. So that's just got to be something that's got to be accounted for all the time. And I think playoff bread versus anybody is like a boss, like playing Mike Tyson and Punch Out. That shit is fucking. That's hard as hell. Gotta hit a couple cheat codes or something. But and I think. What'd you say?
I think he definitely turns it on in playoffs.
Oh yeah, he does. Yeah. So he still sucks, but dude's fucking good.
I think Bread's to the two people when I look at the AFC that I think could keep Bread from the playoffs. I don't think either of them made playoffs. Those two people being the Titans and the Colts. I think they have the teams that could compete, and like they've taken very few actual losses. Someone to look out for, going back to the topic of look out like season 2, you give Terrorize a time to build a team, I think he very well could compete with Bread and keep him from the playoffs. Like, Terrorize has made the playoffs with the Jets.
Yeah.
Like, it's the Jets. They're awesome. Like, going back to the article I did, like, after the free agency draft, I criticized him because I believe he had the number 1 overall pick, which means he literally had the worst team in the game. And he selected, I forget the name of the guy he selected, but basically the best lineman, and the dude was like mid-30s, I think. And like my criticism was like, you have this awful team and you pick a player who's going to retire in probably a season or two. And his response was, this is a win now season. It's not rebuilding, it's win now. Richie Incognito is who he took. 35 years old.
Solid pick.
Yeah. And then I'd probably have to say for the NFC, because I haven't played OMG, so he might be a little wild card, but I'm gonna have to obviously vote for myself. But if I were to lose, I'd probably have to say it'd either be the Eagles or OMG that would make it to the Super Bowl, in my opinion.
I want a Super Bowl with a story behind it. And under that note, I want the Super Bowl of Chiefs versus Rams. Like, you guys have the history from last season. You guys have the matchup from earlier in the season. If you guys meet again in the Super Bowl, you see things going down different?
Man, I'm gonna have to really be on my shit, but I do. I'm definitely not gonna let Tyreek Hill beat me. So that'll be one thing that's not gonna beat me with. I'm just gonna have to take the Bill Belichick approach. So
Nice.
I'll let that be said. I can't say too much. Bill Belichick doesn't talk. Let me get the fucking hoodie.
You're not answering that question.
Hoodie wood.
Hey, I like it. That should be your new username going into the playoffs.
I have to change my name in the chat.
Hoodie Wood.
Hoodie wood.
Hey, well,
Easily.
it's been good, guys. I thank you for hopping on here and joining me tonight. The quality of things may not be up to Kane's level, but I think it was a good time.
Yeah,
I think so.
You
I agree.
guys,
little something to get it through the week.
Yeah,
you guys
word.
have
Definitely.
any closing comments as we wrap this up?
Nah, just it's week 17 and I smell playoffs and let's get these motherfucking games and ATB.
My last note, the adoption papers have been finalized. NFC West, you've now been adopted into the family. Ray will show you your rooms when you get to the crib. I'll make sure that you guys, have all the food and everything you need necessary to watch, Big Papi on the TV. So, also, Ray, don't lose. If you do, I'm gonna have to put you in the corner, Dobby style. That's all I gotta say.
Nice. And on that, we are out. Good luck to everyone in week 17.